How confident are people, down there? Right here, it's split about 50-50. How confident are Buccaneers fans?
I would say extremely confident. And I think one of the vibes that's been around the facility this week is just, it is a fresh slate. I loved Levante David said he went into the meeting room and wrote on the whiteboard this week, it's a new season. And I think that's the way they're looking at it. And then Tom Brady even emphasized that behind the podium today that, hey, like everything we've done up to this point doesn't matter. It's put to bed. And it doesn't even necessarily mean who is the best team on Monday night. It's who plays the best on Monday is going to be who comes out of this game victorious. So they're a confident bunch. They love who they have in this locker room, and they're ready to roll against America's team.
Well, you obviously know both teams well. Brianna, who do you think's going to win?
I have to show my allegiance, and I am going with the Buccaneers on this one.
Is that the Brady effect?
Yes.
It's all about Brady.
Gosh, dang it, Bree. You've been in Tampa too long,
Bree,
huh?
What has it been like covering him, by the way? You've been around the sport for a while, but covering the GOAT, I imagine, has been pretty special.
It is, and I will say, my dad has been a Tom Brady fan for a long time, so I've certainly seen my fair share of Patriots games over the years. But I think for me, what's been the greatest part and my biggest takeaway is just his strive for excellence. And I think I can appreciate a person that has become the greatest at what he does by an unparalleled work ethic. I mean, he has just the tenacity. I mean, you can see the fire in his eyes. He loves this sport more than anything in the world. And I think as a person that has grown up loving this game, it's been part of my fabric. I'm kind of I'm a perfectionist, I can say that. And I think I've really enjoyed just getting to see that day in and day out side of him and in the work that he puts into it to be the best.
He proved it more than ever this year. He loves football more than anything in the world.
Yeah, he certainly did. And we know you're a perfectionist when it comes to the baked goods, as Eric would say, the yummy delights, because
oh yes,
yeah, you sure know what you're doing there. Oh my gosh, those were simply outstanding. I do have two injury-related questions. What's going on with the status of that Bucs offensive line?
Yes, well, I think we've had kind of some good news and bad news this week. The good news, you're going to get both of your starting tackles back. Tristan Wirfs, Donovan Smith will be playing. Both of them didn't play in Week 18 against the Falcons. But I think kind of the question mark coming into today was Nick Leverett, our starting left guard, but also the backup center. So Todd Bowles has said earlier in the week that he had a sore leg, and then he popped up on the injury report this week with a knee and a shoulder, and he didn't practice today. So if he can't go, not only have you lost your guard, but also your replacement center. But the good news is also that Hainsey has practiced this week and looks good to go. So again, the question mark is Ryan Jensen, who has been really a bizarre situation. Haven't had a lot of information on his knee injury. It's kind of just been status quo. Coaches haven't really disclosed anything. Todd Bowles said this week that he's still undergoing some tests that he has to pass. And he even said that there hasn't really been any improvement in terms of his recovery since last week. So, I mean, if he's healthy, he's good to go, then he's certainly going to be out there. But it's just a matter of how he progresses and what he looks like through the rest of this week.
And then the second one would be the dancing bear that is Vita Vea.
Yes, Vita Vea looks like he is on track to play on Monday night, which is going to be huge, having him next to Akeem Hicks manning the middle of the line.
Brianna, the Buccaneers statistically have struggled to run the football, and they ran it well when you came in town opening night. But yes. What's happened? Has it really just been the injuries throughout to the offensive line, or is there something fundamentally? And I know you study scheme and all that. Is there something that they haven't? Byron Leftwich hasn't done or hasn't committed to running the ball.
Right. I think the way that these games have been played has dictated the flow of the game. They've had success running the football when they've been up early. They were able to run the ball in week one. And, the Cowboys have had a lot of issues with, those perimeter runs, making the cornerbacks tackle in space. Leonard Fournette gashed the Cowboys in week one on the edge, when they were pinning the defensive ends, they were getting the offensive linemen on linebackers. But I think really what it's come down to is the Bucs have been playing from behind, and your defense is really what has carried this Bucs team to allow Brady to have those late game comebacks, those theatrics. But if they're not going to be having success, then you have to go with that pass-heavy script, and it's kind of turned Brady into that guy that has to be the 45-plus pocket passer, which is crazy for any quarterback, much less a 45-year-old man. So I think this week they're certainly going to try and dictate the pace of the game, get started early, and be able to have that balanced attack, get play action going, and be able to kind of open some things up downfield.
Brianna Dix here with you on 105 through the fan, Buccaneers.com, formerly on the Cowboys beat. With the players getting healthy like Jensen and Vea, how different is this team compared to the Tampa team that lined up week in and week out during the regular season?
Right. I think you can't underestimate what this line is when Vea is in there. And I think a lot of people, traditionally, just when you look at the nose tackle position, it's a guy that's kind of that two-gapper, the guy that eats up blocks and kind of creates those opportunities for other guys. But, Vea came in here. He's had a career-high sacks this year. He pushes the pocket. And, yes, he does create plays for some other guys, but he also wreaks havoc at the line of scrimmage himself. So I think it certainly boosts this team. And then this coaching staff and just me personally, I can't say enough about the job that Anthony Nelson's done, specifically also at outside linebacker. The Bucs have had some issues at time, with guys on the outside kind of crashing in and getting gashed a little bit on the outside. But he's really come in and been a big help for this team against the run, along with Vea and Akeem.
Brianna, when from the Bucs perspective, what scares you about the Cowboys offense?
Ooh, I would say for me, it's CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard. And I know that this team has not been the same running the football without Terrence Steele. I think when you had him in there with Zach Martin, they were able to have that second level, the combo, the reach blocks that were really, really effective in getting guys on the outside. And just, historically, a lot of the runs have come behind Zach Martin, whether it's Zeke Elliott, whether it's Tony Pollard. But, CeeDee Lamb and Tony, I think, combined for, 8 touches against San Francisco that you and I, Brian, spent a lot of time talking about and being frustrated. So I think they are going to try and get the ball in their hands this week, make guys break tackles and try and get that yards after catch, the yards after contact. And, Tony is just a fun player to watch. He has that slash style. He has the rare acceleration, the ability to bounce runs outside. And I was very excited when we drafted Rachaad White because he reminds me a little bit of Tony Pollard. He was kind of that shifty Pac-12 back and has a lot of the same similarities to complement Leonard Fournette. But those are a couple of the guys that I think is going to be really crucial for the Bucs to try and contain.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Rachaad White because he's also a guy that I think could be a difference maker in this game for Tampa Bay. Is there anyone else? We've talked about Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, but maybe somebody on the Bucs side of things that maybe we haven't focused on that you think could be a big impact player on this game Monday night?
I think an obvious would be to say maybe Chris Godwin, but I think I'm going to counter a little bit with even Russell Gage. I think he's been a guy that has really stepped up in recent weeks when he has been healthy. And, a lot of teams have kind of worked to try and limit that big play over the top with Mike Evans. So that's left a little bit of the middle of the field exploited. Guys not challenging at the line of scrimmage. So guys like Chris Godwin, Russell Gage, K. Doughton have been able to kind of exploit the cushion and the soft zones and get chunk yardage through the middle of the field. And that was one of the big things against the Falcons in week 18 on that first drive where Brady hit Kyle Rudolph. So those are some guys I'm excited to see. And then defensively, I would say Devin White. He had a really big game against Tampa Bay in week 1. And I think in a similar way that kind of Dan Quinn uses Micah Parsons, I think Devin's kind of the focal point for Todd Bowles in some of his creative packages. In week 1, used a lot of, disguises and had a lot of fun with Devin White, whether it was, using him as a blitzer through the A gap. So then he sneaks, Mike Edwards through, or he crosses Levante David and Devin White, and then Anthony Nelson was able to get home on the outside. There's a lot of fun things that he can do with him because the Cowboys allocate resources to him, and then it creates opportunities for other guys to get home. So I think he's going to be a guy that the Cowboys are certainly going to be dialed up to.
There's been a lot of discussion in the Metroplex about booty bread this week here, and I'm curious, are you familiar with that term? And I feel like it's about time we get a female perspective on this, fellas. The portion of the bread in the loaf that is like all crust on one side. Brianna, are you familiar? Yeah, the ends of the loaf, the heel.
Yeah.
The booty bread.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so do you eat that?
No.
Okay, hard no.
You just throw that away.
Yeah. So, opening up the loaf, opening up the back, I would always basically just skip that one. I go to the next one, and I go on down the line.
Yeah.
But you leave it in there to protect the other pieces, right?
I don't touch the weird end piece.
That's fair.
You leave that problem for somebody else at a later date.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Even if you're making toast, what are we doing? Putting that in the toaster? I don't even know what this looks like. I don't know what we're doing. Just the normal piece of toast, with the butter. That's how I go.
Crushing our guy Lucius' soul over here. What are you missing most about the Metroplex being there in Tampa Bay?
Ooh, honestly, I love Tampa Bay. I love the people I work with. This organization is absolutely incredible. And I honestly could not say one bad thing about the coaching staff, this locker room. This is a close-knit, incredible group of people. But I will say one of the things that I do miss, obviously, first and foremost, my family, that's all in Texas. But I just missed a lot of the camaraderie and the friendships that I formed with you guys and a lot of the people in Dallas. So that was one of the reasons why I was crossing my fingers when it seemed like it was going to be a Cowboys-Bucs matchup for the wild card. That's what I was hoping for because I'm excited to get to see some people again.
You're a foodie. You miss every restaurant here in Dallas. Don't lie.
I was really thinking the Tex-Mex.
You do. Lobster. You miss
Whataburger.
Yeah, you miss risotto. You miss pasta. You miss everything. Come on, just tell it like it is, Bri.
I still have dreams about that dang risotto. you know I dream about that.
Well, it was great to catch up with you.
That stuff was unreal.
It was. It sure
is.
was.
It is special. All right, Brianna, appreciate you. Congrats on your success down there. Buccaneers.com for any fans that want to read your stuff. Is there anything else before we let you go?
I think that's it.